All right, everybody, you see it on the screen. It is 2025, and every Tuesday we will be live. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, www.WeLikeSportsPC.com proudly brings to you their tag team champions of the world. Yes, Stuck Leaking, Mike Valentine, Moneybags, Mitch Middlebrook, and we are the 6, 4, 3 and out guys, and you're listening to the Sportz Truth. All right, Mitch, how you been, buddy?
All right, thank you for the intro, Bruce Buffer, or I think the third Buffer brother. Yeah, I've been good. Happy New Year! I'm excited. Our first show of the new year, 2025. Kind of crazy to say.
I know. It's it's the 7th. We're rocking this New Year thing. We got a lot of stuff to catch up on. We got a lot of things to talk about in the future. We've already got people jumping online with us here on Twitter and I'm sure on YouTube. I've got a breaking news that I'll give you in a minute. And I don't know, did you see the tweet I put out about a half hour ago saying I got something for you and you didn't even know what it was?
Yeah, we've got some breaking news a few times this show.
I got all kinds of stuff today, buddy. But first, before we get into this too much, let's do the walk-up music. All right. On today's episode, IL as a English alum in university education. I will give my alums all the money and because I want to do that is what college comes from. Not just and so right into right or wrong. So NFL coaching job to help the bad in the NFL and Mitch Middlebrook on the culture of them all. We are going to talk about what has surprised us most in NFL offseason. We will look at the NFL wildcard playoff. We start on Saturday, 16 on Sunday. What the numbers of companies? Not yet. Marcus Freeman. We'll talk about him. The Bears. We hit him a couple times during our second year. MLB, as he has done the most first, I was in the ball playoff. And I was discuss who's going to win, why, who you can bet on. And do all of that right here.
Perfect timing.
All right, buddy. So how have you been? Have you been good?
Yeah, been good. Good holiday season. How about you?
Man, I can't complain. I can't complain at all. Santa was good to me. He allowed us to take a little bit of time off. He allowed us to. I talked to some young people in my life and said, "Hey, I want to improve this podcast." And man, you see the stadium lights in the background, the grass down below. Got a better camera. Got a better laptop. We are cranking on all 4 cylinders. But what I want to do first, let me see if I've got some kind of noise for this. Hang on. Maybe this. Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, it was at times a little tough to hear you with the last one.
Okay. All right. So let's do some. It's probably because I put my head down a little bit. I got to get right up here next to this mic. Everything's going all through this. Is it better for you, sir?
Yeah, yep.
Okay.
I think just with the music, it maybe have been a little loud, but not bad.
Okay, so we will remember to turn that music down the next time. Okay, cool. Yeah, this is one of those things, man. We're just going to have to do a little trial by error because unless you and I do this together, I can't hear anything on the other end and all that
Yep.
good stuff. So, ladies and gentlemen, even though it's an improved thing, it's going to take us probably a few more episodes to get everything completely down pat. But let's do breaking news. Justin Verlander has just signed a 1-year contract with the San Francisco Giants.
Oh
Oh,
no.
no, not the Giants.
Ah.
Yeah, Justin
Oh
Verlander.
yeah. Oh
Terms have
man.
not been released as of yet. Let me go back to my Twitter feed here to make sure that nothing else has been done. I'll take a look at it real
While
quick.
you do
There we
that,
go.
I'll wipe the tears from my eyes because right when you told me breaking news, Justin Verlander, my heart really thought it was going to be the Tigers. Oh,
No,
I thought they'd have the reunion that I was hoping for,
I'm
but doesn't
I'm
look like
sorry,
it's
sir.
in the cards.
I wish I had better news for you, but I do
Yeah.
not. Yeah, so Justin Verlander, 1-year deal, pending a physical with the San Francisco Giants. So we're going to jump right into 4-pitch talk, buddy. Let's do a little bit of sound, and then we'll go from there. All right, here we go. All right, we're going to do MLB 4-pitch talk, and what were our 4 so far in the MLB offseason. Double digits, buddy. We're already at double digits. Joining us right now on Twitter in the Sportz Truth, we get going here. So, we're going to ask, I'm going to ask you, which one of these has surprised you more? I'm going to do 4 of those. I'm going to get into news that happened in the last 48 hours. And then, the Oakland A's are spending money. I'm going to tell you why. There's a very specific reason. You may or may not know. You're about to. All right. So, MLB 4-pitch talk. Which one of these has surprised you more, Mitch? They're all going to be dealing with first baseman in our first topic here. So, Christian Walker getting 3 years and $60 million. The Diamondbacks trading for Josh Naylor. The Yankees signing Paul Goldschmidt or Pete Alonso, and the fact that he doesn't have a home yet. Which one of those 4 things has surprised you the most? As I get myself a little Mountain Dew.
You know, they were all pretty surprising to me, actually. But I think the biggest surprise is Pete Alonso remaining unsigned right now. I thought the Mets would make quick work of that and bringing him back. And the fact that he still has not put his name on that line yet is pretty surprising to me. The general consensus sounds like he will be back in New York and on the Mets. But the fact they haven't got it done yet, it raises some eyebrows for sure. I'm a little suspicious if maybe the reports aren't completely accurate, or maybe Pete just is keeping it close to the chest. But I'm surprised he's unsigned. I figured Steve Cohen would be backing up the Brinks trucks by now, but no signing as of yet. The other ones, I mean, Josh Naylor, it makes sense. He's cheap for the D-backs, so I get why they bring him in. I would have liked to see them re-sign Josh Bell instead, but I understand the move. Christian Walker was probably the next most surprising to me. I thought he'd get a longer-term deal than that one, but the money makes sense.
Age, he's up there a little bit in age.
Well, I figured he would get probably around 5 years because this is probably going to be his last big contract. I mean, now it puts him in a really tough spot if he doesn't produce over the next 3 years. It's going to be hard to get the money that he wants to continue in his next contract now. So that's why I was thinking he would sign more in the 5-year range, just to kind of make his money where he's at now than where he will be in 3 years.
Are you happy as Arizona Diamondbacks fan and a Diamondbacks or Arizona resident, I guess is what I should say. Are you okay with the Diamondbacks letting Christian Walker go as long as they turn around and sign somebody like Josh Naylor, even though it's a 1-year thing?
I'm fine with letting him go. I kind of came to terms with that a while ago that he wasn't going to re-sign in Arizona. I would have liked to see them do a little bit more than Josh Naylor. He had a pretty down year last year. The power's still there, of course, but really low average. A great defender, but just there's still some things missing for Josh Naylor. But the one thing I will say, he's been in the postseason. He's a clutch player, so hoping the best for him. But I would have liked to see Josh Bell back instead.
Okay, I got that. Um, so let's move on to which of these offseason pitching moves have surprised you more. Let me get a little closer to this microphone. I keep forgetting. Every time I get real close, my head just covers up this whole screen, and I'm afraid people are going to see that and turn away and be like, ah. So which one of these pitching moves has surprised you more? The Red Sox signing Walker Buehler, the A's signing Luis Severino, the Yankees signing Max Fried, or the Diamondbacks signing Corbin Burns?
Definitely the Diamondbacks signing Corbin Burns. That really threw me for a loop. I didn't hear their names in conversations at all, really, until the signing was done. None of the others really surprised. The A's obviously surprised me a little bit, but Buehler to the Red Sox and Max Fried to the Yankees didn't surprise me. Severino, I mean, he just took the money. I think he knows that probably not many teams were throwing that much even, which is good for the A's. But the D-backs grabbing Corbin Burns was, great for me. I get to watch one of my favorite pitchers still play for a team that I root for. I was a little sad seeing him in Baltimore and not really catching as many games of his that I would have liked to this last season. So it's good to have him back on one of my hometown teams.
Understood. I agree with you. The Diamondbacks signing Corbin Burns was by far the biggest pitching move here. Now, I did hear his name a little bit. I'm not trying to say that I'm not better than Mitch is or anything like that, but he lives in Arizona. So I've heard just a few hours before the contract signing that he's basically saying, I'll take a little less money where I live and be able to do my kids. I let you know that I paid you guys in. Not taking like that, something like that, and maybe they're not twins. I know he has at least one child that's 2 years old. That's really important to him to be able to stay here in Arizona for those off days and things like that. Be able to friends. So, and I mean, it's not like it's a whole lot less. It's just current 40 minutes.
Yeah.
See me wave my hand around with the fly and really liking me for some reason. Probably the but yeah, and then the Yankees signing Max Fried was a little bit of a surprise to me. Not a lot. I knew they were going to go get somebody. I didn't think it was going to be Max Fried, to be honest with you. The Red Sox signing Walker Buehler did surprise me a little bit, not because they signed him, but because they basically gave him the same amount of money that he would have gotten with a qualifying offer. I was wondering if they were kind of bidding against themselves, and they basically outbid themselves. So I was kind of wondering that. Hey, before we get into our next one here, which one of these moves surprised you as well? I want to give you the off-season spending. Here are the bottom 5 teams for off-season spending this year. The White Sox at $4.75 million. That's all they've spent in the off-season so far. The Twins have spent $3.06 million so far. I hate to tell you, sir, but your Brewers are next in line, $1.35 million. The Padres, surprisingly, have only spent $900,000 so far in the offseason. The Cardinals, the St. Louis Cardinals. Now they did say they're going to reset their lineup, and they're going to, they're hoping to trade Arenado, and they're hoping to trade Sonny Gray and some of those kinds of people to get their payroll down. They're basically going to reset everything. They have only spent $250,000 so far in this offseason. And there's one team that's even lower than that. Well, how low is lower than that? Zero. Zero's lower than that. and that's the Miami Marlins. Miami Marlins have spent $0 so far in the offseason. They're trying to be the new Oakland A's. We'll talk about the Oakland A's and why they are actually spending money here in just a moment. So the
Mhm.
offseason trades. Which one of these offseason trades has surprised you most? The Blue Jays trading for Andres Jimenez from the Guardians. Always want to say the Indians. I have to correct myself almost every single time. The Red Sox trading for Garrett Crochet from the White Sox. The Cubs trading for Kyle Tucker from the Astros. Or the Yankees trading for Devin Williams from the Brewers. Which one of those four has surprised you the most in this offseason of MLB so far, Mitch?
Honestly, the Blue Jays going out and getting Andres Jimenez. And it's more so on the side of the Guardians, and kind of coupling this with getting Josh Naylor out of there too. I didn't expect the Guardians to blow up their team the way they are. I think they're looking to shake some things up. Pretty disappointed with their postseason appearances. But I really didn't expect this from the Guardians, especially for a guy as beloved as Andres Jimenez. He came up through that system,
Right?
and they loved him there. I mean, he
Mhm.
he caught the world by storm, and those fans really rallied behind him. I know that was tough to see. All the Guardians fans that I follow on X, they were all really surprised and really kind of upset with that quick departure. So that one surprised me the most. I'd say the one that surprised me the least was Devin Williams getting traded to the Yankees. I'd say a bigger surprise there was seeing him without his beard. That's going to be a weird one. Um, but no, I knew they were looking for bullpen help, and I knew the Brewers were looking to ship Devin Williams out. So that one didn't surprise me too much.
We're going to talk about your Brewers here before too long. It won't be on today's episode because we got a lot of stuff to get to with college and NFL football here. Um, but we got to talk about your Brewers sometime soon. And what are they doing?
I don't
Right?
even think they know. I think they're playing a waiting game, and so we'll play the waiting game until they want to start doing something, so we can actually have some stuff to talk about. But yeah, I don't know, man. They're really confusing me right now.
Yeah, that might be it, buddy.
Hmm.
Sorry, I'm doing like four different things here right at the moment. And my wife says I can't multitask. I was trying to prove her wrong, but she just won. So, um, I talked earlier in the opening about stolen bases, and it would be a certain kind of stolen base that we were going to talk about. There are some stuff that not even Mitch knows about. I keep kind of secret over here in the corner. This is one of those things. So not just stolen bases, but I saw an interesting nugget from Sam Fosberg, who is a guy who we follow. He doesn't follow us back. Heard. We we follow him on our Twitter account. It's at Discuss Baseball. He does have a lot of good stuff on there. So if you're a baseball guy and you like stats and things like that, at Discuss Baseball, you can find some things like this. Here's an interesting nugget for you. So we all know who has stolen a lot of bases, but who has stolen the most bases from second to third? Huh. Here we go.
Mm.
There are two people who stole 9 bases going from second to third in 2024. Bryce Terang from somebody's Milwaukee Brewers and Shohei Ohtani. Both of those players stole 9 bases going from second to third. There are 3 people in 2024 that stole 11 bases going from second to third. The Yankees, Anthony Volpe, Jacob Young did it, and another guy who was partially with the Yankees, Jazz Chisholm Jr., stole 11 bases from second to third, coming in at number 2. This one surprised me a little, and I may have to look at him when I do fantasy stuff as the season gets closer. Maikel Franco, third baseman for the Kansas City Royals, stole 14 bases from second to third. I'm
Wow.
surprised at that. I'm impressed with that, actually. And
Yeah.
of course, we all should know who stole the most bases from second to third. Uh,
Can I guess? It's got
oh,
to
you
be
can
Bobby Witt. It's got to be Bobby Witt.
Is it Bobby Witt? You think it's Bobby Witt?
It has to be.
It has to be? No, it's not. Ellie De La Cruz. Ellie
Okay.
De
All
La
right.
Cruz
Yeah,
stole
that
20
makes
bases.
sense. Yeah. Okay.
20 bases from second to third.
Man, I'm surprised Witt isn't in that list at all.
I'm surprised Witt's not there. That was the other thing I was going to kind of mention, that I was surprised that Witt is not in that. So he does a lot of first to second, but he doesn't do a lot of second to third. So
no,
maybe
but Ellie makes sense. I'm surprised he skipped my mind too, but that does make sense.
All right, so let's talk about what's happened in the last 48 hours, because we broke the Justin Verlander going to the Giants here right at the beginning of the show. Last 48 hours, the Reds have acquired Gavin Lux from the Dodgers for basically a compensation pick and a minor league outfielder. The Kansas City Royals have re-signed Michael Lorenzen to it's actually a 1-year, $7 million deal. But there are 2 clauses in this contract. For those of you who haven't actually looked at the contract yet, somebody is absolutely Major League Baseball crazy, so he looks at all this stuff, right? So $7 million for 2024, $5.5 million for 2025 on a buyout, and $12 million in 2026 that they want to sign it. So structured a little differently there. Oakland A's today extended. I didn't write. Brent Rooker. There we go. 5 years, $60 million. He is the first player to sign a 5-year extension since a starting pitcher did it back in 2005. You want to take a stab at it?
Oh, 2005.
Yeah, he was an Arizona Diamondback at one point.
Oof.
I'll even give you his initials. That's how much I know you're not going to get this. It's T and C.
What team did he sign it with?
Well, he signed that extension. So he was the last person to sign a 5-year extension with the Oakland A's. He signed a 5-year, $30.5 million extension with the Oakland A's. Trevor Cahill. That's how long it's been since Oakland has gotten someone to sign a long-term deal with them of 5 years or more.
Wow.
But there's a reason that Oakland is doing this. I got all these notes here. I'm going to try to wrap it up in 30 seconds, and then we're going to jump into college football here. So the A's, why are they spending so darn much money? There is a reason. And if they don't, they're going to get penalized. Let me explain. So because of their poor attendance, they were last in the league last year in attendance. The A's will now be receiving 100% of their money from revenue sharing dollars in 2025. But the CBA requires that those revenue sharing teams spend 150% of the money in which they get on player payroll. They can't spend it like improving their Dominican spot or anything like that. They have to spend it on payroll. It's in the CBA. So on $70 million, which is about what it looks like the Oakland A's are going to get in revenue sharing for the 2024 season, that means they have to spend roughly 105 on player payroll for this season. And now that they have done this with Brent Rooker and they've signed his contract, the A's payroll is right now $97 million. And they've got to get up to roughly 105, or the CBA can actually sue them. They will be in violation of that contract. So that is why they're spending so much money right now. Fans, don't think they love you out there in Sacramento. That's not it. You want to talk about that a little bit, buddy?
Yeah, I did know about that, and I knew that's why they're doing it. When the way they've done it, I think is smart. Actually, you go out and you make one of the first big signings of the off season, get a lot of people talking about you, finally get some good PR for the A's, and make people think, they're turning around, they're spending some money, but they're very calculated with this. This is a very business savvy move for them to make their 1 or 2 big signings when kind of nobody else is, and get people talking about them again. I hope they keep it up. I think they will stop right around that 105, and not go too much over that. But yeah, I mean, good for Brent Rooker. I think if he held out, he probably could have made some more, especially after the season he had this year. If he has another one of those and you know, kind of keeps performing the way he did, he was in for a much bigger payday than that. But good for him. He got his money, long term extension. He's getting up there in age too. He's over 30 already. So
Right. He was one of those
making
guys,
his money while he can.
right? The late bloomer guy, right?
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And then his contract is backloaded as well. So
Yeah.
we'll probably trade him later on, and then
Yep.
somebody else will pick him up and take on that money. So
Exactly.
all right.
You know what I will say? Really, really good, in my opinion, pickup for the Reds. I think Gavin Lux is. I'm probably a little biased here because he's pretty much from my hometown, just the town over. But I really like Gavin Lux. Actually, I think he's a really good infielder. Fielder, especially, his hitting is streaky, but he's came up in some big spots too. I think that's a huge pickup for the Reds. For not giving away too much either. And I was a little surprised by the Michael Lorenzen signing. I thought that was a little low. Some teams probably would have given him a little bit more, but I think he likes Kansas City. And yeah, good to see him re-signed there if he enjoys it. He's a really good guy. I know we both like him, so I was glad to see him signed here.
Love Michael Lorenzen. You can't see it. I got his autograph there, and over there. So, yeah. Really good guy, really good, has a really good heart, good Christian guy. The Gavin Lux thing, yes, I will give you the Gavin Lux thing as well. I'm very happy with that. He is going to be the left-handed platoon, I believe, for Marte at third base, in case he does something stupid again and gets suspended or something like that. In case Matt McLean, gosh, I hope he doesn't get hurt, but you almost have to guard against it now.
Yeah.
All the injuries that he's had. So they had to pick up another infielder. And a lot of people are like, well, then if you're going to do that, why'd you let Jonathan India go? Well, they let Jonathan India go because they could get a good pitcher in return for him. That's 100% why they did that. And then Gavin Lux has also played the outfield,
which
is where the Reds actually struggled some, and they struggled at third base. So, yeah, he solved the one-on-one need for them, and we'll see how this goes. But right now, we are going to go to college football checkdown. All right, turn the music down a little bit. Is that better, buddy?
That's perfect.
All right, excellent. So we are going to talk about all kinds of stuff in the college football checkdown today. We're going to talk about Marcus Freeman first. We'll spend a little time on him. A certain college football program and what one of their alums has said about what he wants to do for achievement their way. We're going to do our Twitter poll question. It has to do with college football. And then we're going to start doing what Mitch does best. Money line. Making money. We're going to do all of them. College football checkdown. All right, so the one thing I don't like about how I'm doing this music now is I can't see it. Like, I don't know when this is going to end. I'm just blind here. So I actually I was hearing that in the headphones, and I was like, oh, it's getting ready to end. So I shut up, and then, right,
yeah, it'll trick you.
Yeah, it did trick me. It got me.
There we go.
All right, so Marcus Freeman's response to him and James Franklin being two black coaches that are in the college football playoff. Now, I've got this on video. I haven't figured out how to get it up here on the screen quite yet, so I've got it on the phone. I'm going to put it right by the mic. When I start playing it, give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down to see if you can hear it or not, all right? And then we'll respond off of what he says. This reporter is asking him about him and James Franklin, and that James Franklin is the coach for Penn State, because one way or another, since those two teams meet on Thursday in the college playoff, which we'll talk about here in a moment, we are going to have a black coach in the finals for the college football playoff. First time ever, by the way, in college football that a black coach is even involved in the college football playoff. Never mind be in that final game. So Let me hit the link. Hopefully, it won't have anything in the beginning of it.
Thanks for making history here.
Can you
Can
hear
you
it?
kind of just put in perspective what it means to you to be, one of two black coaches in this playoffs?
Yeah, it's again, you're very grateful. It's a reminder that you are a representation for many others, and many of our players that look the same way I do. That you know, your color shouldn't matter, right? And that the evidence of your work should. And but it takes everybody.
You and thanks.
Right. So he says your color shouldn't matter, and that it takes everyone. Yes, and yes, 100%. So here's my first question to you, Mitch, on this subject, and we may get a little touchy, we may get a little race bias here a little bit. Hopefully, our fans understand we're not trying to be against any race or anything like that. But we're really going to start it off with this first question, and I'm interested to hear your take on this. So, well, let me ask this: do you think the color matters? The color of your skin matters in football, or in any sport whatsoever?
No, I don't. No. I'll let you ask the second part
Okay,
of this
'cause you
question.
right, you know what's coming, you've seen the notes, so if it doesn't matter, then why even bring it up? Why are the reporters still doing this? Why do we have to say it if it doesn't matter? Mitch, I'll let you go, bud.
Yeah, I think the reason they're bringing it up is because to some people it does matter, and they're trying to ponder and cater to those people. I'd really prefer a world where questions like these weren't asked, but I also understand that it might matter to some people, and they you know he had a great point. Coach Freeman had a great point of they are the representation for a lot of people that haven't seen someone that looks like them be a head coach in the college football playoffs or the national championship of college football. So to those people, it might matter. And, I'm not here to say that it shouldn't matter to them. I've never been in a position where, you know, I I can't say I don't relate or I do relate to coaches in college football. I'm not a football coach and I'm not a, you know, 40, 50-year-old man either. So I've never seen
Don't be taking
someone
shots
on
at
a
40 or
college
50-year-old men.
football head coaching sideline that looks like me either. But at least, their similarities. I think that's the difference. So I get why it's asked. I think it does matter to some people, and that representation of, maybe some little kids looking at them and saying, "Hey, I can grow up to be that one day." But yeah, it doesn't matter to me, and I would prefer if that wasn't a question and it didn't really matter to anyone. But I also respect that it does, and some people feel that needs to be asked.
I gotta put this up here, I have neglected to look at the comments, and there's a comment up here. Yeah, he's
Mhm.
talking about we were talking about the stolen bases earlier. Ricky Logan guy writes for the Cincinnati Reds for www.welikesportspc.com. I apologize, Ricky. I got you up there. I was just thinking to myself, I put all these questions in here, and then I haven't even put the first one up yet. We talked about it already, and I'm like, daggone it, I missed it. Do all this work. Here, you know what? I'll even show you. Why are the A's suddenly spending money? Well, we already discussed that. Great job, Valentine. Great job. All right, despite that, we'll go back. We will do the Sportz Truth poll question here in a few moments, and we're also going to do this. I got a tweet earlier. I don't even know if Mitch saw it or not. I tagged him in it. I asked him about it earlier. I don't know. He just kind of blew me off. We'll see. It says, I have a special announcement to make tonight on the Sportz Truth that not even Mitch knows about because it was just told to me. So then I put hint, big, and it is fruity. What's he got cooking? Well, he's not the Rock, but he'll reveal that here in just a moment as soon as we're done with the Marcus Freeman talk here. Marcus Freeman, the head coach of Notre Dame, and James Franklin, the head coach of Penn State, both black coaches both going to be in the Final Four of the college football playoffs. In fact, they will meet each other in one of the bowl games. There will be the first one on Thursday.
Mhm.
Should it be said it shouldn't matter, but it does? I mean, really and honestly, does that even need to be said? I would say no. Mitch, what say you? Do we have to say it shouldn't matter, but it does? Because obviously it does, or we wouldn't be talking about it right now, right?
Yeah, I think it's something neat. I don't get mad at any stats that I see. It's the first time somebody did this, or it's the first time that happened. I think that's neat to call out, and I think it's kind of a reminder that, like, hey, this isn't something to that we see often, or that is taken for granted. So I think it's interesting to call out. I think it might matter to some people. So if you call it out, and both Coach Freeman and Coach Franklin can take pride in that, that's something to at least note.
So I kind of put here in our notes, is it a big deal? Is it a big deal that we've got 4 coaches left and 2 of them are black? I mean, what if 2 of them were Asian? Or what if 2 of them were Native American? Or, pick your race, right? Are we talking about it like we are right now because both of them are black? Or is it just because they're black?
Honestly, I think it's anyone outside of white that we'd be talking about it, because it's not something we've seen before. And I think anytime it's a first like that, people are going to bring it up. Now, would I like the conversation to be more about their football teams? Yeah, but it is just one question. I understand why it's asked. But, there's a lot better things to focus on with this game coming up here on Thursday.
So as I decided to do now, I meant to do it like 5 minutes ago, but there's our ticker tape at the bottom. It's in that pretty blue. So if you want to make a comment, you can do so. There's a comment button, I believe, up in the top right-hand part of your screen. Just click that, type in your comment, and we will put it right up here on the screen, just like we did earlier with Ricky Logan when he was really happy that Ellie De La Cruz had the most stolen bases from second to third in Major League Baseball last year. No surprise to us Reds fans, but yeah, good job by you, Ricky. And anyone else that wants to put a comment up there, we will feature you right now on the Sportz Truth. He is Mitch Middlebrook. We call him Moneybags. I'm Mike Valentine, the Cleat Geek, and we're going to keep going here with college football. I'm sure you heard about the tragedy that happened right before the game. Excuse me, that Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame were involved in before they won. They're in New Orleans. With that tragedy that happened in New Orleans, he also allowed his players 3 hours to meet up with their families. And he said this. This was his quote. Man, I'm really, I don't want to say fall in love with Marcus, because that, I don't know about that. But he's really going up my ranks as coaches, him and Kenny Dillingham. We'll talk about ASU later on. By the way, just a side note, you know how this portal and everything else is? We'll talk about the portal here in a few moments. ASU lost 0 starters to the college football portal. Fantastic. Anyway, he said, him being Marcus Freeman, head coach of Notre Dame, says, I wanted to bring some comfort to the players and their parents. I really like what he did. Mitch, talk to me a minute about how you can be a coach, and how you can be a mentor, and how you can be a man.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate Coach Freeman for doing that, and I agree. He's climbing up my big board for favorite college coaches right now. I think this is a really personable and just a really human move to do. I think it helps you kind of take a step back and realize what's really important in the world. And that's your family and the relationships that you make throughout this life. And I think that's really good to see, college coaches, even at the highest level and competing and trying to win a national championship, to not forget that. I think, honestly, you end up getting a lot more out of your players when you can treat them as human beings as well, and understand that, they have emotions. Their family and themselves are probably shook up by the tragedy in New Orleans that day of the Peach Bowl. So I really respect that. He's not only a good coach, but seemingly a good man as well. So I really like seeing stuff like that.
All right, so here's my last question as in reference to Marcus Freeman. I think this is good. Will Marcus Freeman be an NFL head coach next season?
You know, I don't know. I don't know if he's ready to make that leap. I think that's a tough one, and honestly, I'd prefer to see him stay at the college ranks and have a little bit more success there. This is the first year that I've really heard of him, and I think a big mistake that people can make is growing through those ranks too quickly. I think he's had some disappointing games this season that he could probably learn from. I think another year at the college level would actually be good for him if he does want to eventually make that leap to the NFL. But I don't know about next year. I think there's too many coordinators at the NFL level right now that are going to get those jobs.
Okay. So we're going to wrap up our Marcus Freeman thing. We're going to do NIL next. Pardon me. I don't know. It's getting me a little bit here. But I've teased this. I've teased it twice now. So let's pay off the tease, right? So special announcement to make tonight on the Sportz Truth that not even Mitch Middlebrick knows about, because I was just told a few moments ago. I was just literally breaking news because nobody else knows but me. I told my wife real quick. I ran out and told her, and then was like, okay, leave me alone. I'm going back in for my podcast, right? And I was getting everything ready. It's big and it's fruity. Got any ideas, Mitch?
No, I don't.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah, lay it on me.
It's big and it's fruity. We work for www.welikesportspc.com. The owner of welikesportspc.com sent me a message right before we went on the air that says, you're now going to be part of a fruity thing. We're going to Apple Podcasts starting with this episode tonight. So we're going to be on Twitter. We're going to be on YouTube. What's our YouTube channel handle, buddy?
Yeah, you'll find us at the 643 and Out Pod on YouTube.
Right.
And it sounds like that's where you'll be finding us on Apple Podcasts as well.
I'm not 100% sure what the address is going to be yet. We'll put up a link on our Twitter page. So we'll do that. And then, but man, any more exposure that we can get. I mean, the numbers are climbing. I know, Mitch, you can't see them, but I can see them. They just keep going up, People are tuning in, and nobody's tuning out. So we're very grateful for all of you guys. And our boss has come on with us. I was talking to him earlier, and he was like, you know what? You guys are doing a really good job. You guys are killing it. We're going to add some podcasts, it looks like. We're going to do a We Like Sports PC network. We're going to add some podcasts. Ricky, if you're still listening, that's one of the things I was talking to you about earlier when I was like, I knew this was kind of coming. I just didn't know it was going to be today. So we are going to be available on Apple, iTunes, podcast with this podcast. And we'll put that link up on our Twitter account here later on. So that's that one, buddy. A former...
That's big.
Isn't it big?
That's big.
And fruity.
Yeah.
Remember fruity apple.
Yeah, and fruity. I don't know if I want to call myself fruity, but yeah, it's big.
Oh, well, that mustache of yours, I don't think anybody's going to say you're fruity. So I haven't told you all of this question yet. I thought this would be kind of interesting to you because I know you are a big Michigan State alum. Well, I don't know about alum. Did you go to Michigan State, or you just a big fan of the college?
Just a fan.
Okay, that's fine.
Maybe one day for my PhD we'll talk about alum, but yeah, for now just a big fan.
Okay, buddy, that's fine. So right now there's a former Michigan State alum who has vowed, and let me give you the quote: unlimited NIL resources to witness a championship at his alma mater. I want to give you a shot here. Do you know who it is?
I mean, only two really come to mind.
Okay.
Either Magic. Is it Magic?
It's Magic. That's
Yeah,
right.
I figured. I didn't think Draymond Green would be saying that just yet. I don't know if that Golden State Warrior money is allowing for unlimited NIL, but I knew Magic was up there with it.
Yes, all right. Paula already hitting us, but that is awesome news. Yes, it is, Paula. It's fantastic. We're not going to be on, if you're just joining us, we're not going to be on Apple iTunes as well. It's going to be fantastic. We can't wait. It's going to be starting with this show. It'll be on the tape delay, obviously, but it will be there for you to listen to in its entirety on Apple iTunes, right? And then how you say that, Mitch? I'm the old
I think now it's just Apple Podcasts.
Is it just Apple Podcast? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So Magic Johnson has vowed unlimited NIL resources. Should this be allowed in college football, Mitch?
Oh, it is everywhere else. I mean, everywhere else has had unlimited NIL pretty much. So yeah, it should be, especially if it's for Michigan State.
Oh, here we go. So, but I want to ask you too: is this what's wrong with the NIL right now? Like, there's a guy from Tulane. I was watching the Duke game. Duke and I believe Mississippi, wherever Lane Kiffin is, Ole Miss or Mississippi State. Is it Ole Miss? They were playing Duke, and they were talking about this kid that was playing quarterback for Duke who had thrown one pass in the college football season. He's coming in a bowl game, and you could tell he was just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe all this, right? And he's doing his best. He's not doing real great, but he's doing his best. And then they're talking about some kid from Tulane that they're paying $6 million of NIL money to, and he's coming into Duke, and he's going to be the next big thing. And $6 million for a man. I'm a pretty big college football guy. I don't even know who this kid is. Is this what's wrong with college football right now?
Well, I think it's interesting and it's something to note. Whenever I see something like this, a quarterback from Tulane transferring to Duke and going to make $6 million, I like to think, man, how different would that payout be before NIL when we didn't know how much players were making? Is it any more? Is it any less? I mean, we don't know. Were quarterbacks from Tulane making $6 million under the table without anyone knowing? I think that's what's more interesting to me to think about, because, man, to think about, we're only 4 years away from none of these college players getting paid to a quarterback from Tulane College being poached by Duke for $6 million a year to be their new quarterback. I mean, I don't think it changes that much overnight, but so I'd be interested to know what those payments were like before.
Right, and you can't blame the kids, right?
No. Oh, they're just making their money. I mean, they're
making their money,
taking what people will pay them. You can't blame anybody for that.
Right. I mean, Ewers, Arch Manning, they're making a ton next year. I believe it was Ewers is how you say his name for Texas. He was thinking about going into the NFL draft, and they offered him like $9.5 million or something like that. And he's like, "Oh, okay, I guess I'll stay.
I'll stick around." Yep.
Right. And when did it change that just being able to get your education for free was a good enough reward for playing a sport, or maybe a sport or two? You're trying to figure out what sport you want to go into. And I think the other thing that's kind of lost in all of this is the fact that even if they're a good program, right? Even if you're Texas or Ohio State or Penn State or Notre Dame, just to use the Final Four, right? You still making it in the NFL or the NBA or Major League Baseball or from that college is still a shot in the dark. So you should get your education. I mean, that's kind of the point of going to college, right?
Yep. Yeah, no, I think it's more power to the guys that are staying and getting paid in college and getting their degree. Because exactly like you said, I mean, you could be drafted first overall and be out of whatever league you're in, whatever sport you're in 2 years, 3 years. You never know what's going to happen. You might get drafted first overall and never play a game if you're injuries or whatever it may be. So the longer you can stay in college, still make money and get your degree, have the ability to, better yourself for whatever comes after sports, I think is a great thing. I think this money shows how much money there is in college football and how much these universities are making, and how much players like Magic Johnson and those alums love their schools and want to see them win too, because they're just throwing out money left and right.
All right, buddy. So our third of 4 when we are here at the college football checkdown is this, and it is our Sportz Truth X poll question. Let's put it on the board. Sportz Truth X poll question. The first college football playoff has been. I didn't put the 4 choices up here because I'm going to give them to you now. If you go on our Twitter, it is at the643 and out pod, as it says right there at the bottom of the screen. And also gives Mitch's Twitter handle as well. It's at MitchellBrook52. I usually let him do it, but today I didn't. That was me today. So you can choose from these 4 responses: predictable, entertaining, disappointing, or exciting. Which one of those 4 would you choose for how the first college playoff has been? I'll give those 4 things to you again, and then we'll say what our people on X have said to us. Again, they are A, predictable, B, entertaining, C, disappointing, or D, exciting. Which one of those would you pick, Mitch Middlebrook?
I was kind of stuck between 2 of these, and I might be in the minority here. I'm not really sure where the results stand right now. I'm sure you'll tell us, but I'm actually going to say exciting. I was going to go with entertaining when I first saw these, but the more I thought back on it, and the more of every game that I watched throughout the college football playoffs, it has been really exciting. Outside of some blowouts like the SMU Penn State game, was kind of here or there. But every other game besides that, well, pretty much every game Penn State has played hasn't been too great. It was nice to see Genty at least, but he didn't really show. Boise State just didn't show up the way they should have. But I think it's been good. I definitely don't think you can say it's been predictable, with Notre Dame going in there and whooping up on Georgia. Penn State really whooping on Boise State, and Ohio State really putting a beating on Oregon. And then that Texas-Arizona State game was, I think, the best game that the college football playoffs has seen this far. Hopefully better to come, but that game was insane. So back and forth. A great comeback from Arizona State. Just fell a little bit short there. But yeah, no, I think it's been really exciting. I'm excited to see these Final 4 in this championship. I think no matter what teams advance, it's going to be really, really good football.
Okay, so we will talk about those final 2 games here in just a moment. I do want to tell you before I give you the results, I'll give you guys who are listening to us live right the moment, you want to jump over and vote real fast, you can. 306 people have seen this poll question so far. We got several votes here. So again, it's predictable, entertaining, disappointing, and exciting. And I will tell you 2 of those things haven't even gotten a single vote yet. So yeah, we'll get to that here in just a second. So you chose entertaining. You told me why. While we give people a chance to go over and vote on our Twitter poll question, at the 643 and out pod on our X account, I'll ask you this: would you change anything from year 1 to year 2 on the college football playoff? And if so, Mitch, what would that be?
Yep, more teams. We've already seen some upsets, and I want to see more of those upsets and see these teams go on crazy runs. something like March Madness runs. I think we need more teams in there. 12 just isn't enough, and this proves it. I mean, some of those lower seed teams have really come out, even in the games that are close. I know Arizona State was the higher seed from Texas, but that was, again, the best game we've seen. Closest seeding 4 and 5, and it was really good. I'd like to see more teams in there and give them the chance to compete for a national championship too.
All right, so let me refresh the Twitter poll question. I've got it right here in my hand, and we're going to go with this. Here we go. Predictable, 0. Nobody said it was predictable, so it kind of proves to your point, right? Maybe we do need more teams. I wasn't going to go there, but maybe so. The other one that did not get any votes, exciting did not get any votes. Disappointing got 14%, and the overwhelming majority of people on our X account, again, that is at the 643 and out pod. Mitch's is at Mitchellbrook52, where you can get him as well. Overwhelming was entertaining. 86% of our viewers said that the first college football playoff was entertaining. So here we go, buddy. Let's do what you do best. Let's look at these games. Penn State, Notre Dame, Thursday, January 9th, the Hard Rock Stadium. Tell us, who's going to win? Who would you choose?
Yeah, we've got Notre Dame and Penn State. This is going to be a good one. It's a really, really tight spread. Currently, Notre Dame favored by 1.5 at -118. Penn State still minus money at -102, and the point spread is only 1.5. Vegas does not know which way to go on this one. Honestly, I'm right with them. I don't know where to go with this one either, but I think I'm going to take Penn State, and it's probably because I'm a Big Ten guy. But I really think Penn State's been playing really, really good football, and I just don't see Notre Dame going in there and whooping up on them. I do think it's going to be a really close game, and I could see it going either way. But if I had to put my money on either of these teams, I'm taking Penn State.
Okay. Penn State. So what was the money line on this again, buddy?
So Notre Dame favored at -118 and Penn State at -102.
Okay.
So minus we got here.
Okay. So how can they be minus? Explain to me how this works, bud.
Because that's how close it is. Vegas isn't willing to say that we'll double your investment on any of these or either of these teams. They're saying, you know what? We see it going either way. Both these teams have an equal chance to win or fairly close to equal chance to win. So we're not willing to put our money where our mouth is, Vegas speaking. So they're going to take more money in than they will pay out on either of these teams because they see either of them winning.
Doesn't that kind of defeat the whole purpose of betting? I mean, I'm not a big betting guy, not near as much as the money bags is over here to my right. So then are you going to lay any money down on this game whatsoever?
I think when I see a minus, I think the only thing that intrigues me is if you think Vegas has it wrong and you see one of these teams that's just going to run away with it. I don't see that happening in this game. Again, if I had to put my money on either of them, I'm taking Penn State because I see the potential for them to win this game handily more than I do Notre Dame to see them win it handily. But either way, I'm probably staying away from this game just because I really could see it going either way.
Well, I'm not going to agree with you on seeing it go either way. I think one team's going to come in there and dominate this game. Notre Dame leads college football in defensive takeaways. Notre Dame became the first team in college football history to beat a ranked team this year in 6 consecutive months. Cowboy Reggie, if he's listening to us right now, he should be loving all of this, just jumping up and down out of his little chair. He is a big Notre Dame guy. And if you are a big Notre Dame person, you can go over to www.welikesportspc.com. A couple of really good articles up there by Cowboy Reggie on Notre Dame football and what he thinks they're going to do. So to go back to the 6 consecutive months, in August, they beat the number 20 team, Texas A&M. In September, they beat the number 15 team in Louisville. In October, they beat the number 24th ranked team in Nevada, or excuse me, in Navy, not Nevada, Navy. In November, they beat number 18 Army. In December, they beat number 9 Indiana. Of course, we all saw that beat down. And then January, obviously, they just beat number 2 Georgia. So they are the only team ever, and college football has been around for a long time. They're the only team ever to beat 6 top 25 ranked opponents, one in every month for 6 consecutive months. I like Freeman. I like this team. I like what they can do. And I think they're just going to go in. I would take them. I think they're going to beat Penn State handily. And when I mean handily, I'm going to go 14 plus points.
Whew.
Yeah,
I don't know. Now let me ask you this.
sure.
What if this was Oregon versus Notre Dame? Would you still feel that way?
No, I wouldn't, to be honest with you. I think Oregon's a better team than Penn State. One of the things that I know I didn't really comment on what I'm doing as far as how I would change anything. I thought Oregon got a really for being the number 1 seed, right? That's the thing that I would change. Is I
Yeah.
would look at how they're ranked. For Oregon being unbeaten and being number 1, they should have been in the consolation prize bracket, right? Where they had the easiest path to number 1 because that's what the regular season wins should do for you. And they obviously did not. Now, I don't know if they were trying to get the big money for the rematch with Ohio State or what they were trying to do with everything. Who knows what played into all of that. But if I was Oregon, I would have been upset as to where my team was put in that draw. I think if they would have got Penn State or if they would have got any other team but Ohio State, I think that they would have probably shown better and would probably still be in this college football playoff, to be honest.
So do you think reseed after the first week?
No, I don't like the reseed thing because you don't know where. And I've talked to some other people, and there's other people who I've spoke to who are like, yeah, we need to reseed, like what the NFL does.
Yep.
We'll talk about their playoffs here in just a little bit. And yes, they do reseed after every round of the playoffs to make sure that that number 1 team has, sorry, I don't call them that. Taylor's team is going to have the best path to get to the Super Bowl, right? I mean, to me, I think I should just go ahead and hand him a trophy right now. I'm not even sure why we're having these playoffs, but whatever. We'll see how all that unfolds and works out. But I just think that Oregon got a really bad draw, and a number 1 seed who went undefeated all year long should never get a really bad draw.
Yeah. Well, I think I, I don't see how to fix it because I really do think Ohio State's Tennessee too. They're both really good 8 and 9 seeds, and outside of that, there's nobody of a lower seed that played in the quarterfinals. So it's tough to do. I do think they got a bad draw. I think Ohio State's outside of 1 week and losing to Michigan were a really good team. So I think they just got out, man.
Yes, and I will agree with that, but they didn't get the Penn State side. Ohio State beat Penn State. That's the side they should have been with, right? You can't tell me that people didn't think that Ohio State was just going to obliviate Tennessee. My sister's probably listening right now. She lives in Tennessee, so she's probably going to be like commenting right now, just typing away with her little fingers. So they did. They got a bad draw. That's all there is to it. I mean, I would be really upset if I was them, their fans, their coach, their program. I would be really upset. But that's really the only thing that I see wrong with the college football playoff. I like how it's going. The only other thing that I might change is I think these games should be independent of the other bowl games. I don't think they should play in the Peach Bowl. I don't think they should play in the Cotton Bowl. These games they've got going on should rotate cities just like everything else does. and they're going to bring even more money to those places. So,
Yep, I agree.
Schedule them at some different times. Schedule them. I love the fact that we're doing one game on a Thursday and one game on a Friday. So we're going to have Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. 5 days to where we can have football, either college or NFL, starting on Thursday. So bring it on. I really miss baseball, but I'll settle for football right now. All right, buddy. So let's go to the second game. It is on Friday the 10th. It will be played at AT&T Stadium at 5:30 Mountain Standard Time. It will be on ESPN. Ohio State will play at Texas. Tell us the lines for this one, and tell us if you would put money on this game.
Yeah, this one a clear favorite. Ohio State at -238, a 6-point spread, and Texas is a +195 money line for it. Even though it's a decent size minus, I'm taking Ohio State. I think they win this game and move on to the national championship. I just don't believe in Quinn Ewers. I really don't. In every big game this season, he has not impressed me. I think he's going to falter again. I think we'll probably even see Arch Manning in the second half of this game, if not starting the second half, because I really picture Quinn Ewers struggling again like he has in these big games, and that offense really struggling to put points on the board. If their defense, Texas's defense, can't hold up, this could be a blowout really quickly too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you. Ohio State's gonna take this. I don't even. I'm looking forward to these two games, but I'm afraid both of them are going to be blowouts.
Yeah,
especially the second game. But as biased as I am, it can be a blowout as long as Ohio State's the one on, the ones doing the kicking. So we're good there, right? I wanted to give you an update. I got some additional information, a couple sources here on our X page at the 643 and Out Pod. Again, you can get Mitch at Mitch Middlebrook 52 on his X page. So Verlander's contract with the Giants is 1 year, $15 million, as reported by multiple sources here on our Twitter account. So there we go. I wanted to make sure that we got some of those things in. And that's all I see right at the moment. There's nothing else breaking that I can see. So we'll stick with that right now. Oh, there is something breaking, but we're going to get to that here in a moment, as we are going to do now. Wrong button, Valentine. All right, here we go. We're going to go to our NFL segment, NFL 4 Down There. All right, there's now all of a sudden 6 coaching jobs open in the NFL. We're going to talk about them. We're going to look at right or wrong. We're going to play a game. We're going to discuss those teams make the right decision at those coaches. They make the wrong decision at those coaches. So Mitch will do all 6. I know I've only got 4 of them up here today to do all 6. We're also going to talk about Chicago, Cardinals, and then we're going to discuss the NFL wild card playoffs. A lot of them today on Sportz Truth as we do our NFL 4 Down There. All right. Let's talk to me a second. Let's see if I can hear you on the music, buddy.
Yeah, you got me?
I got you, buddy. Excellent.
Perfect.
Let's start off with right or wrong. All right. So, as you told me earlier while we were doing all the prep work for the show, 2 hours ago, by our Twitter account, looks like about 4 hours ago, the Raiders finally decided to knock out Antonio Pierce. And I want to start before we start doing it right or wrong. I want to ask you, why is it taking so long for these teams to do this? I mean, are there so many more people now? Are they thinking about it more? I remember back in the day, this was Black Monday, right? And
Mhm.
9 times out of 10 before Sunday, we knew a lot of this stuff. Okay, that's why I can't hear myself because the monitor was turned on. All right, so still getting used to this. Got this board in front of me. I'll just say that Santa Sports was good to me. Okay, so I got some new toys. All right, so why do you think it's taking so long for everything to kind of hash out this year?
I think there's a lot going on behind the scenes, and some of these teams are probably learning more as the days go by of who's actually willing to accept some different head coaching jobs and who's planning to interview who, who they're going after, and who's still going to be available when all things are said and done. Honestly, I think that's exactly why Antonio Pierce just got let go today. I'm sure the Raiders have their eye on someone and probably got some good information that there's a more than likely chance they will be able to get whoever they're going to go after.
Yeah, so that's one of the big things. Like both of us both of us are in management positions at our particular workplaces. And there's a lot of times where they want to promote this person or they want to demote that person or they want to change this. And, I don't think this guy's working out great over here, so let's move him over here. I don't think this guy's working out great over here, so why don't we just split people around and all of that. And one of the big things that I'm always talking about in these meetings that we have before we decide that we're going to do this kind of stuff is, do you have someone who's going to elevate that position? And there's 6 teams now that don't have coaches. Do you really think there are 6 other coordinators or 6 other college coaches or 6 other people who are really going to honestly elevate these programs any more than what they are right now?
No, I really don't, and that's why this move especially was so surprising for me. We'll get into it, but a few of these moves didn't really make any sense to me. Actually, all the ones that we're going to talk about here didn't make sense to me. But um, yeah, I think there's got to be something going on in the back end that we're not privy to, that these teams and these owners and GMs are aware of. But yeah, it's pretty head scratching to me right now the way things look.
Before we get into this real far, I wanted to make sure that I mentioned this. I want to say congratulations to quarterback Trevor Lawrence and his wife Marissa. They announced yesterday they just had a little baby girl. You can go to our Twitter account. I've been plugging the snot out of this thing today at the 643 and Out Pod, and you can see the picture of the little girl and the picture of Marissa and all of that as well. So um, we want to make sure that we congratulate Trevor Lawrence and his wife on the birth of their baby girl. All right, a couple more things that I want to get into first. I need to find the tweet here. I'm sorry, I'm searching. I'm doing some different things today, so I want to make sure I get all 6 of these. As you have already kind of mentioned, we're gonna talk mostly about 4 of them, but the Jets and the Saints are the 2 that we're not really going to touch on here today. But they are the other 2 as far as now they need head coaches. We already knew the Saints were going to need one. We knew that weeks ago. The Jets, we knew that weeks ago, and that's why we're not really going to talk about them today. But those are the other 4, or excuse me, the other 2 coaches, along with these 4 that we're going to talk about right now as we play right and wrong. So, Mitch, right or wrong, Las Vegas firing of Antonio Pierce. What do you think?
Wrong. Too soon. And exactly as you kind of alluded to earlier, who are you going to go out and get that's better? The Raiders aren't going to be ready to compete next year either. But I think this is a clear indicator that they're set up for Shador, and they're hoping whoever they get at head coach is going to be a good fit with them, with Shador. So I'm sure they'll consult him because they want to make their first round pick happy. I think that's the clear indicator there that they've kind of went full in on Shador, and that's where they're headed.
So I haven't said this to you yet. I haven't made this announcement to anybody, so I'll do it right now. Breaking news here as well. We got all kinds of this stuff Thursday, man. We're going to be on Apple Podcasts. Justin Verlander news at the first beginning of the show. Just updated a few moments ago, $15 million one-year deal with the San Francisco Giants. Justin Verlander, as long as the 41-year-old can pass the physical. Just if he's not sure if he's going to be next somewhere along the line, we'll wait and see. But on Thursday, Mitch, I'm going to see if I can get you on this as well later on. He's like, oh, I see the little headset. We got a little intriguing piece here. The Stadium Ranter podcast. It's done a lot like, oh my gosh, the names for it on ESPN just slipped my mind. But they put like 4 people up there and they give them all a chance to comment on it, and then they mute them and all that. But it's the Stadium Ranters podcast. I'll be on it as a special guest this coming Thursday. Wayne E. Gregory Jr. invited me on there. We were on the Sports Coin group together. Sport Coin has been very good to us. So really appreciate them and really appreciate Wayne Gregory for inviting me. I will be on the Stadium Ranters podcast on Thursday. I'll put a link up on our Twitter account. Mitch, you can take a look at it, see what happens there, and I'll see if I can get you on it later on. They're going to do different people every time, so something that I really think will help us, something I'm really looking forward to, and we'll be talking a lot about those things. He is a big New England Patriots fan, so I'll keep my mouth shut a little bit on this one because I don't want to give away everything I'm going to put on the Stadium Ranters podcast, but when we get to that here in a few moments, that'll be why I'm not as vocal as I would usually be. But as far as the Las Vegas Raiders go, I 100% agree with you. They didn't give him enough time. I love what you said. Absolutely. 2 years is not enough time. I mean, what are you comparing it to? His last year that sucked and he didn't have anybody? I mean, come on. You've got to give. And you know, I want to talk about this a second because, you know, it's how it's going to be with Gerard Mayo as well when we get to the New England Patriots, right? His is even worse. So let me ask you just a point-blank question that I didn't put in the notes. How many years do you think you need to give a new head coach on a team in order to properly evaluate them?
Well, I think it really depends on a lot more things than just time. I think one of the biggest contributing factors would be the team that you're putting on the field too. And I think, you know, both of these teams, the Raiders and the Patriots, are kind of in a similar boat. They weren't putting a team on the field that was expected to win and go out there and make the playoffs and, you know, even be 500. Both those teams going into the season knew that they weren't going to be sniffing the playoffs this season. So I guess I would turn it back on the owner and the GM and say, what were you expecting? What's enough to keep their jobs? Where do you want them to be at when the season starts to say, you know what, you get us X amount of wins and you've done a good job. You've kept your job. I really think it's hard to say with teams like this that are in a clear rebuilding mode. I really don't understand it. I think when you're a first-time head coach in the NFL, it really depends on what the situation that you're walking into and that you're taking over a team is. If you're a guy that your team is all set, you're ready to compete, and all you have to do is go out there and coach, your leash is a lot shorter. But neither the Raiders nor the Patriots were in that situation, and so I think that leash is a lot longer. I think at the minimum, for teams in that position, it has to be 3 years at the very least, unless it's so bad and noticeable that, hey, no matter what, when we get the team around this guy, he's not going to be able to do it. I understand it then, but both these guys, I think it's too early to call it quits on, especially Gerard Mayo.
Yes, I 100% agree with everything you just said. I like the whole, and good evening to you too, sir. Yes, another one of our writers on www.welikesportspc.com, Mr. Dave. Thank you, buddy. He's been on with us before, and we're probably going to have him on again. Big Cincinnati Bengals guy, big boxing guy. So if you are a Bengals guy, a boxing guy, make sure you go over to our website, www.weLikeSportsPC.com, and read.
Yeah, really great boxing content, and a friend of the pod. So yeah, thanks for stopping in.
Yes, sir. We love friends of the pod. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. All right. So, yeah, you talked about, and we're trying to answer the question, how many years does it take? Now, I think the Raiders situation is a little different because of one person. And it's already been announced that he is going to be in all of these interviews. He's going to be sitting there at the table. And I think it's going to make a big difference when you go in and interview for a head coaching job and Tom Brady is sitting across from you at the table. He does own a small portion of the Raiders now, and he's already said, he's made it public on his, and I believe it was Adam Schefter or somebody like that, tweeted out earlier today that he will be involved in this process. Mitch, do you think that makes the Raiders' job more appealing, less appealing, or, man, you're just going to be a nervous wreck?
Well, it definitely makes the decision a little bit more understandable. Tom Brady wants his hand in this, and I'm sure that's why he, bought some of the Raiders. I think it definitely makes it more intimidating because you're going to get grilled, and you can't BS your way out of anything against Tom Brady. This guy knows the game better than anybody, and so when you're sitting in a room with a football mind like that, there's no tricking, there's no, schmoozing anybody. What you know is what you know, and what you're going to do on the field matters more than anything, because you're not just talking to businessmen anymore. You're talking to a businessman who also knows the game of football better than almost anybody.
Absolutely. So to give you a little bit more, I was asking for it. I got some updates here. It will be our Apple Podcast. For those of you who are just tuning in, this episode will be available on Apple Podcast. It'll be a tape delay, obviously, but we will get it put up there. It's going to be on apple.com/we like sports, we-like-sports-network. So that's where it will be. When you go over to Apple and look at all of that, it will have, I don't know if you can really see the logo. There'll be a logo there. Like I said, we'll put a link up. And Sirhan, you're still with us, buddy. You need to send me a message. I know you have a podcast too. We're gonna make this a network is what we're trying to do right now. So let's go. Let's freaking go, boys. Okay, so Jacksonville Jaguars, they fired Doug Peterson. Right or wrong, Mitch?
This one I understand the most out of any of these that we're going to talk about, but I still don't think right. Jacksonville has had a tough season. I understand they didn't live up to expectations this year, and they're at a really disappointing year. But I still don't see the better replacement that they could bring into Jacksonville right now. So I think you give Doug Peterson a little bit of a break on this year. And if he struggled next year, you part ways with him. But I think it was a little too early.
I didn't think he would make it to the end of the season, to be very honest. I was a little surprised about that, especially after I believe they got obliterated by Carolina, I think, or something like that. And some lower echelon team just came in there and just stomped them into the ground in Jacksonville. And I kept waiting for the announcement. But I do think that, honestly, what good does that do? So you're going to elevate an offensive coordinator? Are you going to elevate a defensive coordinator? And Sirhan, I see your other message. I won't put that one up there because that's kind of a private thing between you and I, but I will put this one up here. He agrees. I thought Peterson would be gone by mid-season. But I'm not sure what that proves. You're just elevating a coordinator that, if you'd have wanted the coordinator to be the coach, you'd have made him the coach in the beginning, right? And not put Peterson in that role. So I don't know. This one was the one, I think you're right. This one was the one that we all saw coming. I'm not sure who the new coach is going to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not surprised. So you're going to say right or wrong? Which one did you say?
I'd say wrong. I think still too early. I think Jacksonville, I think a few weeks ago I would have said right, but they actually impressed me with Mac Jones in the late season. They were not getting blown out. They were actually competing in more games than I thought they would, outside of a few, obviously. But that's bound to happen with these kind of lower echelon teams. I thought they played a little better than I thought they would with Mac Jones, especially after losing Trevor Lawrence. So I would have liked to see Doug Peterson get a little more time to turn it around. I mean, he's had success in Jacksonville, and I do think he's a good coach. He's had now successful seasons and kind of surpassed his expectations, both with the Eagles when he was there and with the Jacksonville Jaguars. So he's kind of had highs and lows on both teams. I would have liked to see if he could have a little more highs in Jacksonville, just because I don't know what that replacement is going to look like, and I'm not sure that it really moves the needle for him.
I almost had a panic attack. I thought I was going to knock the microphone off on the ground. I don't know if you saw me there when I jumped. I was like, But that mic was falling. I tapped it, and that's all it took. So I do want to say that we're talking about different quarterbacks and losing those different quarterbacks. Next week, I'm gonna. That's what I was doing. I'm making a note here in the book I've got to the side of me here. I want to talk about the Cleveland Browns and the train wreck that they are. I don't know. Did you see Deshaun Watkins over the weekend? Making TikToks with his girlfriend on vacation instead of being on the sideline with his team. I'd beat that guy out in a minute. So we'll talk about that a little more next week. Let me put that down. Browns right here. All right. So I don't know about Doug Peterson. I'm on the fence with Doug. Doug's been a head coach before. He took the Eagles to the playoffs. He took the Eagles to the Super Bowl, right? If I remember correctly. I mean, it's not like he's a terrible coach. It's not like he has an awful track record or anything. So I don't know. I thought this year they were going to be a lot better. And when they weren't very good this year, I think I'm going to say right for this one. I think they're justified.
Not only did Doug Peterson take him to the Super Bowl, he won that Super Bowl. That was a Philly special Super Bowl against the Patriots that he won. That's a Super Bowl winning coach. They're not going to find another Super Bowl winning coach to come into Jacksonville and take over the Jaguars right now.
Okay, then so what was it? Why didn't it work? If he's a Super Bowl winning coach, you gave him 3 years, right? He's been in Jacksonville for 3 years. Here we go. Everybody's going to pile on now. Peterson won the Super Bowl. Like, hey, Sirhan's like, hey, stupid, he won the Super Bowl. Okay, I get it. And he won with Nick Foles as a quarterback. All right.
And to beat Tom Brady, that I think
just keep piling on, everybody.
I think there's a lot of reasons though that it didn't work out for Peterson in Jacksonville this year at least. No one expected, or at least not a lot of people expected, Trevor Lawrence to regress the way he did this year. He had a really rough season, and then to lose him too, and have to go to Mac Jones, just a really tough break all around. Trevor Etienne was absolutely pitiful all season. One of the worst running back seasons I think I've ever seen from a guy like that, to just regress out of nowhere. Nobody really expected either of those guys to take the steps backwards that they did. So that's why I would have liked to see a little bit more time for Doug in Jacksonville.
So then are you telling me that it wasn't Doug Peterson's fault? It was Trevor Lawrence's fault? It was the running back's fault? What are you saying?
The head coach is always going to take some of the blame. I don't think he's not to blame, but I don't think he's the only problem in Jacksonville. I think they got a long way to go. So.
All right, so we got 2 more. Let's do this one first. The New England Patriots fired Gerard Mayo. Right or wrong, Mitch?
Wrong. Way too little time. And honestly, the Patriots did better than anybody thought they would this season. The Patriots, all things
we don't have agreement with that.
Yeah, well, I mean, all things considered, the Patriots, I think this is the best season they could have had, all things considered, and it's one they needed and wanted to have. They got Drake May meaningful playing time. They got to see what Drake May can do, and he played well. He played, I think, better than most people thought he would, especially behind an offensive line that would fall over like a bunch of cardboard. So I think that in my opinion, Outside of winning in Week 18, the Patriots had the best season that they could have had. They should have lost and gotten the number 1 pick, but you can't really tell a guy to coach to lose, and you can't tell 53 guys to go out there and try to lose. So I understand that they went out there and they won. They were competing. Good on them for that. Stupid move. They lost themselves the number 1 pick by doing it, but I thought they had a really good season, and shame on them for doing that to Gerard Mayo, because you really can't do that to a guy, rookie head coach, give him 1 season and in most people's estimation surpass expectations, and still fire him. Just doesn't make sense to me.
Yes. 1 year. 1 year is just absolutely ignorant. What are you comparing him to? Seriously, are you comparing him to the first game where they beat the Bengals? I mean, are you comparing him to the 4th game? Are you comparing him what are you comparing him to?
Are you comparing him to Bill Belichick in his first year?
Right.
I mean, did you expect him to go in there and be the best coach in the NFL? It doesn't make sense.
No, and and here's what I want to say to Robert Kraft. Right across the face, buddy. I don't know if you saw his press conference. He came out and was like, "Hey, this was my fault. I'm to blame." And what I said was just, yeah. He's like, "Oh, I know Gerard Mayo has the tools to be a head coach and none of that." Well, then leave him as your head coach.
Yeah.
Shut your mouth and leave him as your head coach. I don't understand this whatsoever. I mean, I'm not a Patriots person. But it doesn't make sense to me in the football realm of things. I don't understand, and I would be really, really, really upset today if I was a Patriots fan. Let's look at the last one. The Giants are keeping Brian Dable. Right or wrong?
The wrongest of them all. Gerard Mayo is a close second, but this is the wrongest of them all. I mean, the exact opposite of what we're talking about with all these other guys. Not enough time. Brian Dable is too much time. How much more time are the Giants going to waste with this guy? He sucks. He can't coach. He can't put a winning team together. He's terrible. Brian Dable should not be a head coach in the NFL. And that's so clear to me. I don't understand what the Giants are doing unless they want to keep losing next season.
Aren't you talking up both sides of your mouth right now? You've got to give people more time, and then you're saying, "Oh no, we've given this guy too much time."
Brian Dable's had time.
How long has he been the coach? I think 4 years, I believe.
4 years.
But so you said you got to give him at least 3, right, to properly evaluate somebody. Okay, so you've given him 4. Has he not proven anything to you? I mean, is he that bad of a coach? He's also got a terrible. I mean, they traded away their best player, and not traded away, but they let their best player go out the door in Barkley, right? They've been putting themselves on this one goofy quarterback forever from Duke, and he's doing a darn thing for him. Can you really blame Brian Dable for all this?
I mean, I think when you're this egregiously bad, your all-time record, including the postseason, which he's 1-1 in, is 19-33-1 for a .368 winning percentage, a 36% winning percentage. Yeah, after 4 years, I think the book is out there. You can part ways with him and have no regrets whatsoever. I don't see Brian Dable ever being a successful head coach. I mean, he's had 1 season where he took him to the postseason, and since then, outside of that, he's just been awful. I really don't understand this move. This one's the worst move out of all of them, I think.
So which one's worse? A Super Bowl coach that comes into an organization that has a good quarterback and has a good running back and can't do anything? Or the guy in Brian Dable who loses all of that, does not have a good anything, and can't win? Again, I think you're talking out both sides of your mouth here, buddy. I mean, the mustache covers it a little bit, but still.
No, I think it speaks to my. I think it speaks to my point exactly. He's had 4 years to turn it around. He hasn't done it. That's enough time. You know who he is as a coach. You know he's not going to get it done. Part ways, get somebody else in there, get a fresh start. You're going to need a new QB anyways. You don't want to have the old stink of Brian Dable on your new QB and trying to move forward with your team. Malik Neighbors probably can't stand the guy. You gotta get him out of there. You gotta get a fresh start because halfway through the season next year, that's a wasted season too if you got Brian Dable.
All right, we're going to agree to disagree on this one, and I really think that if you were right, there'd be people coming to your defense right now on our comments and everything else. But there's nobody. I mean, when I said something wrong, Sirhan was jumping all over me about the Super Bowl and everything else. Nobody's saying a word about you, so I don't think anybody agrees with you. Just so you know. But
well, that's fine because time will tell. Time will tell.
Time will tell. Yes, it will. Actually, you're 100%. Since they're going to keep him, they need to improve themselves next year, right? All right. So, Bears, the Bears have asked for permission from the Dallas Cowboys. Oh wait, hang on. You know what? I'm almost going to forget about it again. I did this one. Not wrong way. There we go. Chicago Bears have asked for permission from the Dallas Cowboys to interview Mike McCarthy for their vacant head coaching position. Now, Mike McCarthy does not become a free agent until the 14th. So Dallas does not have to grant them permission to do this until the 14th. But let me give you some breaking news. Our buddy Adam Schefter, I like to call him our buddy because we follow him on Twitter and he has no idea who we are. But our buddy Adam Schefter tweeted out about 45 minutes ago that Dallas has given Chicago permission to talk to Mike McCarthy, which I thought was an interesting development here. So would you want Mike McCarthy as the head coach of your team?
No, I wouldn't. And that's not to say I think he's a terrible coach. I think, he's a.
You pretty much just said he's a terrible coach.
I think, I don't want him as the head coach of my team. I don't want anybody to be the head coach of my team other than their current head coach. So I wouldn't take any coach in the NFL over Dan Campbell. But once the bigger pieces fall in the head coaching carousel this offseason, I don't think Mike McCarthy's a bad option. I think you know who he is. Mike McCarthy, he's a serviceable head coach. I'm taking him over Matt Nagy. I'm taking him over a lot of other guys that are getting head coaching interviews this offseason. So would he be my first choice? No. Would he be my second, third, fourth? No. He might be my fifth. And if all those other guys take better jobs, sure, I'd take Mike McCarthy, but he's not going to be my first option. That's for sure.
He's only been in two places his entire coaching career, right? I believe 19 years in the NFL, if I remember correctly. Green Bay Packers, Dallas Cowboys, and that's it.
Yeah, which is why I'm not completely closing the book on him. I think, if you're in that fourth or fifth slot of guys that you've already been passed over by, if you don't get Ben Johnson, if you're on Aaron Glenn and you don't get him, I think he's one of those guys that you at least want to take a flyer on and see what you can do.
So he's not on your first page of people, but he's on your second page of people. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah.
Okay. So because of Caleb Williams, doesn't it feel like the Bears have to get this one right?
Yes. Yep. They have to. This is really, really important for the Bears. They can't make another mistake at head coach. They've made far too many for far too long. I think they've really got to get this one right. I've seen some reports that they've been considering Pete Carroll. That's one way they can't go. That's another way they'd get it wrong. But it's really important for them to get this one right.
So I'm going to put you on the spot, and you should know this is coming by the notes. If you were the Bears GM, who are you going to select as the next coach? If you have your pick of the litter, right? If you're picking dogs or whatever, and you have your pick of the litter, which which alpha male are you going to choose out of that litter and say, yeah, this is the guy?
I think for me, it's clear for a few reasons actually, and it's Ben Johnson. I'm probably a little biased here, but I really do think Ben Johnson is the as far as if you're going to hire a rookie head coach, who it's got to be, especially to pair him with Caleb Williams, that offensive mind, and to give Caleb Williams somebody that can really do a lot to take the pressure off him and free him up in a lot of ways. I think if I'm the Bears, I'm going all out for Ben Johnson, giving him whatever he wants, and making sure he's the next head coach of the Chicago Bears. Now, do I want that to happen selfishly as a Lions fan? No. But I think if I'm the Bears, that's the best move they can make.
Don't you think he's going somewhere in this offseason?
Oh, for sure. Yep, definitely. And I think if you're the Bears, you have to say, you know what, if he goes anywhere, he's coming here. You got to make him an offer he can't refuse.
Right. Now we got Sirhan here who says that the Bears absolutely have to get the right coach now with Caleb Williams. There's another comment up here. Let me throw this up here as well. It says, agree, it's Ben Johnson. Williams needs an offensive mind, and Johnson could be the one to do it. So I'm going to pull both of those back so that we can go back to the question. Sirhan, not that I'm trying to slight what you're saying there whatsoever. I don't really agree with it, but I'm not going to slight it. I do. I think I have the perfect coach for this team. And we talked about him earlier. And I'm going to circle the wagon. And I'm going to go back to the black. And I'm going to say, Marcus Freeman from Notre Dame needs to come in and be the coach of the Chicago Bears. A guy who can be a coach, a guy who can be a mentor, a guy who can be a man. And yes, by the way, just so you know, all of those questions earlier were set up for me to come back and tell you that Marcus Freeman needs to be the coach of the Chicago Bears. What do you think about Marcus Freeman and the Chicago Bears joining up?
No, I really think the best choice for him is Ben Johnson. I think the offensive mind, exactly like Sirhan said, it's the offensive mind to pair with Caleb Williams. That's exactly what he needs. He needs a guy that knows the NFL, knows how to have a successful offense, and knows how to get the most out of their quarterback. If Ben Johnson can get the most out of Jared Goff, then he can definitely get the most out of Caleb Williams. I don't hate the idea of Marcus Freeman. I think that's, kind of the second best thing you're going to get. But I do really think that Ben Johnson is the right guy for him.
All right, buddy. So we're gonna move on to the NFL wild card playoffs. We got all kinds of these to look at and discuss and everything. We're at an hour 42, so we're going to try to get this done before the second hour comes to a close. I want to thank www.welikesportspc.com for everything that they have contributed to us. I want to thank SportCoin as well, hashtag SportCoin. Make sure that you'll see us do those a few times here. I want to put one more plug in for the Stadium Ranters podcast as well. I'll be on that this coming Thursday. Here we are. We have our highest total of people listening to us right now, watching us right now, buddy. Don't get nervous. I think there's mustache taking a little bit. Don't get nervous over that. All right. And then we are going to talk about the NFL wild card playoffs. So we're just going to take these games just as they are going to be. And then you and I are going to play a game. But we're not going to review exactly what that game is till after we're done with this. So just remember, we're not going to, what's coming. Our viewers do not. So keep that in mind as you're talking about these games, all right? Saturday, January 11th, 2:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on the CBS from Houston, Texas. The L.A. Chargers visit the Houston Texans. Mitch, tell us, what's the line and who you would put your money on, buddy?
Yeah, we got our first underdog favorite here. LA Chargers coming into Houston, favorite at -162, and Texans are at +136. 2.5-point spread in favor of the Chargers. So yeah, it's our first underdog. I guess not an underdog. Underdog in the seed, but a favorite in Vegas. The Chargers coming into Houston.
Okay, so the Chargers coming into Houston are the favorite. My question is that who you're going to go with? Because I'm not going with the Chargers. If I had to pick a team straight up, and that's what I'm going to do while we're talking right now, is just pick a straight up winner. Um, I so here's why, and I'll see if you agree with me on this. The Chargers and Justin Herbert fall on their face every single time something like this happens, and until they win one, I'm not going with them. Last year, everybody thought that the Ohio State quarterback for Houston was going to fall on his face, and he did not. So I'm going to pick the guy who didn't fall on their face recently instead of the guy who constantly falls on his face, and I'm going to take the Houston Texans.
Yeah, I completely get where you're coming from there. I am gonna take the Chargers actually. I think they're gonna prove that they're not those same guys, and Justin Herbert under Jim Harbaugh is gonna prove that they can win these games. Um, and the Texans are going to prove that they can also lose these games. I think that's really what it's going to come down to. I think the Texans caught people by surprise last season, and the Browns were expected to steamroll them in that game, and they really took that underdog mentality. The Texans have not played well this year. A lot of times, I mean, they lost a game where they had 5 takeaways from the Lions. And sure, it's the Lions, but that there's just been games that you see inexplicable decisions, and their offense just looks out of sorts at times. So I'm going to take the Chargers actually. I expect them to go in there and win. I think it's going to be a good game, but I could also see the Chargers really putting it to them.
All right, so I'm remembering that I forgot to put you and I both know we're doing this game at the end, and I didn't fill out my game bracket thing here. So you're going to see me look down, and you're probably going to see my bald head a couple times on this screen. But I'm like, crap, I forgot to fill that out. I got to fill that out real quick. So yeah, I'm going to take the Houston Texans, and you like the Chargers in the first game on Saturday at 2:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on CBS. And all these times that I'm going to give you are Mountain Standard Time because Mitch and I live in Arizona, so everything I got is Mountain Standard Time. All right, the second game on Saturday. It's actually on Amazon Prime, believe it or not. They get a playoff game this season. It'll be at 6 p.m. from Baltimore, the Steelers at the Ravens. Give us all you got, buddy.
Yep. Ravens heavily favored in this one. They're minus 470 over the Steelers at plus 360, a 9.5-point spread. Vegas has this one as an absolute blowout, double-digit winners in the Ravens. I'm with them. I do think the Ravens will win this game. I actually don't think it'll be by that much. I think it's going to be a lot closer. But I'm not touching the minus 470. That's way too high for me. No return on your investment there. And I don't think the Ravens are going to win by 10. So I'm staying away from the 9.5-point spread too. And back to Sirhan, I think you're exactly right in your comment there. The Chargers' 30-point meltdown in Jacksonville is still in their players' minds. And I'm sure Jim Harbaugh, even though he wasn't a part of that team, he's going to be thinking about that too, and he's going to be reminding his players and firing them up there. But yeah, this Ravens Steelers is not going to be a very intriguing game for me. I think the Ravens handle it pretty easily.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Saron. I was trying to fill out my bracket here. I'm almost done with it, I think. So I didn't see your question pop up there. I'm glad Mitch pointed that out to me. That's a good co-host right there. But yeah, great job by both of you. So I'm going to pull that back away, and we're going to. So I don't want to give too much away, but I don't think this is going to be a game. I watched the Steelers just get obliterated by the Bengals, and the Bengals weren't even trying, to be honest. Or at least they didn't look like it. I mean, I'm sure Sirhan watched that game. If the Bengals would have scored touchdowns instead of kicking field goals, that game would have been just monstrous. And everybody'd be laughing at the Steelers right now. But for some reason, once the Bengals got into the red zone, it was like kryptonite for them, so they couldn't do it. Now, I don't think that Baltimore's going to have that same fate, and I really think Baltimore's going to put up probably 40 on them. So yeah, this is, I think, just like Vegas does. I think this is probably going to be, or at least it has the potential to be, the widest spread between the two teams. So we're going to do that, and we're going to go back, right? Sunday.
And Suron, we're really agreeing today. I like the way you think, man. Because yeah, I'm on board with you. I think they're going to keep it closer than you would think. I think the Ravens will win, but I don't see the Ravens putting up 40 on that Steelers defense. I don't know, especially if Russ can keep the ball in his hands and put some offense up too. I don't see him scoring that much, but I do. We're all in agreement they will win the game.
That's the thing, though. Russell's not been able to do a darn thing. Did you watch the game with the Bengals on Saturday? I mean, Pickens looked awful. People were yelling at him on the sidelines and trying to get him in the game, and he was just like, whatever. He looks, I don't know, he looks like one of those kids that I have to talk to at work all the time. And I'm like, hey, man, come on. This is what you got to do. And they're like, well, if you don't like what I do, then fire me. And I'm like, okay, sign here. So, I don't know. They to me, they look like they're a mess, but we will see. Let's move on to the third game, which is actually going to be the first game on Sunday. It'll be noon on CBS from Buffalo, New York. The Broncos and the Bills. They will clash at the stadium there in Buffalo. Man, I hope it's snowing like all get out when they get there. I love snow games, but I haven't looked at the weather forecast. We'll see how that plays out. But, buddy, tell us about the gambling side of the Broncos at the Bills.
Yeah, I really hope we get a snowball in this one as well. Two cold weather teams. I want to see them duke it out. Pretty widespread on this one too. Bills heavily favored, as you would expect, minus 440, and then the Broncos at plus 340. 8.5 point spread on this one. But I'm in agreement with Vegas. The Bills are going to win this one. Good season for the Broncos, but just not enough to beat the Bills. I don't know if anyone has enough to beat the Bills right now. But yeah, it's going to be the Bills.
So then, are you going to take the Bills despite what the money line is against them, or are you going to stay away from this?
I'm still staying away from it. I don't do anything that's like minus 400 like that. I just don't think anything can happen. Josh Allen goes out in the first play of the game, and Broncos end up winning. It's just not worth putting the money in the risk that happens there.
All right, Mafia, man. Bills Mafia listening right now. If Middlebrook just jinxed you, it was not me. All right, that's all I'm saying right now. Wow. The second game on Sunday, July 12th, 3:30 Mountain Standard Time. This one will be on Fox, and it will be from Philadelphia. The Green Bay Packers will visit the Philadelphia Eagles. Mitch, what say you, buddy?
Yeah, Eagles favored here minus 225, but the Packers not too far off at plus 185, a 4.5 point spread in favor of the Eagles. I think this is going to be a good game. I think if the Packers show up, they could win this game. But I'm going to take the Eagles. I think they pull it out. I think there's a lot more weaknesses on that Packers team, especially with Christian Watson out now. I think the Eagles are going to pull it out.
That's the Packers receiver, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. Now, the last I had heard, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I'm sure you will, because everybody seems to be correcting me when I'm wrong today, but that's okay. That's what you guys are supposed to do. Wow, I just lost his name. Quarterback for the Eagles. Is he still in percussion?
Jalen Hurts, yes. Jalen Hurts is still in concussion protocol. Sounds like he's going to make it out and play. And it sounds like I think Vegas kind of knows that. They expect him to play, and that's why we see the line right now currently minus 225.
You think this is a mind game by Philly?
I think so. I definitely think so. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. That obviously dictates a lot about who you're going to put your money on. So who are you taking here, Philly, or are you taking the Packers?
I'm taking Philly in our in the podcast. I might throw some money on the Packers actually at plus 185 because I do give them a good chance to win this game. But as far as our picks go, I'm taking Eagles.
Okay, so plus 185. Tell me you put $10 on it. What do you get? And they win.
$18.50.
Oh, so it's not
$18.50. Yeah, no, nothing crazy, but you're at least making money on your investment.
Right. Why not, right? It makes the game more exciting as you're watching it if you got money on it, I guess, right? That's what a lot of
Yep.
people do. I'm not a big, as you know, I'm not a big gambler, so I'll let you guys figure all that out. Sunday night on NBC, excuse me, 7:15 Mountain Standard Time from Tampa, Florida, the Washington Commanders at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I'm going to tell you right now, out of all of these games, this is the game that I will make sure that I do not miss. I want to watch this game in particular. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, I agree. I'm really excited for this game. I think it's going to be the best one of the weekend. Um, uh, Vegas has the Buccaneers favored at -175 and Commanders +145. 3-point spread here. I'm taking the Buccaneers, actually. I think they're a more veteran team. They've been here before. And they've been playing really, really good football. They did not look good against the Saints this last week, but they still came out with the win. I'm taking Buccaneers here, but I'm just hoping for a good game. I think this is going to be a really exciting team, or really exciting game. Both of these quarterbacks are really exciting and fun to watch. I think it's going to be good, and we get a little cherry on top. Mike Evans and Marshawn Lattimore matchup to.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Yeah.
But isn't that what good teams do when they don't have their best performance? They still win.
Yep, exactly.
That's the reason why I'm picking the Buccaneers.
Yep.
I like the story of Jaden Daniels. I like the story of the first-year head coach that used to be with Dallas, and everybody kind of thought he was going to be dead. And now he's resurrected himself, which I think, again, a decent story. The Washington Commanders are not my favorite team, not a team that I would really root for necessarily, but I do like the story behind them. But I think Cinderella's shoe's going to fall off and the glass is going to break, and we're going to go back to the pumpkin, and Gus is going to be laughing. Those are all Cinderella references, by the way, for all you young trunks. You can look it up on your Google there. All right. So last game, 6:15 on ESPN from Inglewood, California. You will have the Minnesota Vikings, who could not beat your Detroit Lions the other night, are visiting the Los Angeles Rams. So what do we got here, buddy? Vikings, Rams.
Yeah. This is another good one that I'm excited to watch. I'm glad it's on its own on Monday. Rams are actually the underdog here. Vikings are just slightly favored. This is the closest line of them all, at -115 for the Vikings and -105 for the Rams. So another one that we see a minus, and too close for Vegas to call really and feel comfortable with. 1.5 point spread. I'm actually going to take the Rams in this one. I think the Vikings are prime at letting people down, and they've had a good regular season, but you can kind of tell their magic is fading. They're running out of it, and Sam Darnold did not look good this last week. He looked really bad. He missed a lot of guys in the red zone, and if they have trouble in the red zone like they did against the Lions, they are going to get blown out of this game. And they really got to find an answer for Puka Nacua, because if they don't, both Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua are going to just light them up. So, yeah, I'm taking the Rams in this one. Vikings have had a good season, but it ends here.
Okay, I'm with you, actually. I know this one would be the one, I guess, if I'm going to lay money on a game. I'm probably going to lay money on this one because you said the Rams are actually the underdog, and I think the Rams are going to win this game. So just based on that fact alone, this would be the one that I would probably lay money on. I like the Rams. I think they're a more complete team. And I also think that the Vikings are kind of like the Commanders. It's a good story, a resurrected quarterback this time instead of a resurrected coach. But a lot of times once you get to the playoffs, you can do a regular season with these kinds of teams and they get to the playoffs, and that's a good story all itself. Once you get to the playoffs, it's pretty much a done deal. And I think this will be the done deal. So here we go. We are going to do a game. I'm going to let you guys as fans get involved with this as well. Get on our Twitter and let us know what you would like the loser to do. Maybe we'll take one of your suggestions. We are going to play this game from now until the Super Bowl. Mitch and I are going to do this. We've agreed to it. It should be fun. And here's how this is going to work. So there are 6 games. We're each going to pick what what we want our 6-point game to be, the one that we feel as though the team is going to win, that has the best chance of winning. We're going to put that as our number 6. We're going to do the next one as our number 5, the next one as our number 4, and so on and so forth. You guys can certainly get the gist of what we're going to do here. Sirhan, once again, Vikings had a great season, but the Lions game showed what you guys said. The Magic started wearing out. Rams win. So we'll take this off the screen for just a moment. I need to get my pen out. I've got my picks already ready. They weren't ready a few minutes ago, but they are ready now. All right. I'm going to take a couple of chances here. I'm going to let you guys know right away because I think, this is the 6-game one. So this is where I think you need to take some chances if you want to win a little bit. So I'm going to take a couple of those chances. Mitch, I'm going to give you the honor as the co-host, and I'm going to let you either go first or you let me go first. I'll let you decide.
Now, I do have a clarifying question. So if I pick a team with my 6-point winner, you can still pick that team for yours?
Yes. Yeah, because
Okay.
I'm just going to pick, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay.
I guess I hope they're not all the same.
I'm a little worried they might be, but I think either way we can switch these up. So I'll actually let you start because I'm fine going a few different ways. I'm kind of torn with a few of them. So to make sure we have some separation here, I'll let you get first and maybe change some of mine.
All right, fantastic. So I don't have that problem. I have mine picked and ready to go. So my 6-point winner, the team that I think has the best chance of winning this weekend in the NFL wild card playoffs is the Baltimore Ravens. I think they will crush the Pittsburgh Steelers. They would be my 6-point team. You're shaking your head over there. I think we agree at least on the 6.
I would agree. I'm actually going to go with the Bills though, because I could flip flop either of these teams. So I'll take the Bills for 6, and the Ravens for 5. I imagine we're just going to flip flop those.
We actually are not.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I'll take that.
I told you I want to take some chances, especially with this one. Boy, you're about to approach a magical number here. We still got people coming on board and listening to us. Thank you guys very much. We're getting close to the end of our segment here, end of our show. We are now picking who we think is going to win this weekend, and you guys can put it up here on our comments right now. Let me get closer to this mic because I can tell you can't hear me really well. And when I do this, my name and moniker there cover half of my face, so that's pretty good too. So we are going to choose our 6th highest. So let me see. How do I want to say this? The team that we think is going to win will be our 6-point game, and then we'll go 5-point game, 4-point game, 3-point game, all the way down the line. So I have chosen Baltimore to be my 6-point winner. If Baltimore wins, I get 6 points. And Mitch has chosen the Bills. If the Bills win, then Mitch gets 6 points. So we're going to go with the 5-point. Mitch has already chosen the Ravens in his 5-point. I am not going to choose the Ravens. I want to take a chance here. And I'm going to take a chance with the L.A. Rams. I'm going to pick them as my 5-point winner here. So L.A. Rams for me is 5-point. Since you did it this way the last time, this is going to be probably no surprise to most people. I'm going to pick the Bills for my 4-point winner. Who are you going to pick for your 4-point winner, Mitch?
This is where it gets tough for me. I'm going to take the Rams here at my 4. I think I'm the next most confident in these ones, and then after this, it's kind of a crapshoot for me. I could see any of these games going either way, so I'm going to stick with the Rams at 4 here.
All right,
and then
so
3.
Mm-hmm.
And then 3 on the spot. I'm going to go with the Buccaneers. I'm taking the Buccaneers. I think I'm the next most confident in them. But again, I could see any of these last 3 games going either way. So I'm putting my money where my mouth is. Kind of taking a risk going the Buccaneers here because I also believe in the Eagles, but I'll go Buccaneers at 3.
Yeah, I'm going to take a little bit of a risk here as well. I'm going to go with the Texans as my 3-point winner. I believe in the Texans. I really, I believe in their quarterback. I tend to pick people over teams. He's probably my favorite quarterback still left in this whole thing. Maybe with a nod to Baker Mayfield, who I'll choose next. With my 2-point winner, I'll put the Bucks at number 2, and that means for me, I'm a little scared that they're gonna nail Jalen Hurts or something because they're gonna come after Jalen Hurts. I mean, if I was if I was the team up against the guy who I knew was in concussion protocol, I'd be coming after him. So I'm actually going to go Texans as my 3, Bucks as my 2, and Eagles as my 1. Hopefully, Buddy Gomez that works with me is not listening to this, but he's going to pull some of that. He calls himself Pretty Hair Boy all the time. He's going to be pulling some of that pretty hair out right now. But that's what I'm going to go with, buddy. So I have chosen Baltimore, L.A., Buffalo, Houston, Tampa Bay, and Philadelphia. You so far have given us the Buffalo Bills as your 6-point winner, the Ravens as your 5, the Rams, yes, as your 4, the Bucks as your 3. Who's going to be 2 and 1 for you, sir?
Yep, I'm gonna have the Chargers at 2 and the Eagles at 1 because I agree. I think that Eagles, they concern me the most. I try to envision these games going in my head, and the one that I really don't know which way it's going to go is the Eagles Packers.
Mhm.
I see pretty clearly these other games, and I see clearly on both sides, but the ones that I don't see really strongly either way is the Eagles Packers. So I'm going to put them at 1. I do think the Eagles will win it still, but I'm putting the Eagles at 1.
All right. So we'll do that for our picks. Very good. Appreciate you playing along with us. Now, for our fans, you guys can play
Yeah,
along.
I like that. Yeah, Sirhan is playing along too. I like that.
Oh, 1. All right. You guys can put up on our Twitter page, or you can do what Sirhan just did right now. We'll be on the air for at least a couple more minutes here. Uh, Buffalo, Baltimore, Bucks, Chargers, Rams, Eagles are his picks 6-1. But the big thing that I want you guys to know is you can have the loser do some crazy stuff. I mean, we're not running around naked around, an MLB complex or anything to where we get arrested. But if you want us to eat some kind of crazy sandwich on the air and watch the other one do it, or if you want us to wear somebody else's team, like make me wear some Brewers get up or something, I will, if that's what you guys decide. But that's where the fans come in. You want us to give something to charity, which I thought about doing actually. Maybe the Pat Tillman Fund or an animal shelter or something like that. I know both of us would not have a problem giving to either one of those type of organizations. So you guys, all 50 of you who are with us right now, can decide. Throw it up on our Twitter. That is at the 643 and out pod on X. You can also check out Mitch Middlebrook, buddy. Where are you at on X, sir?
Yeah, you'll find me at Mitchellbrook52 on X. You can also just scroll through our shared account here, and I'm sure you'll see me pretty active on there as well.
Yeah, he is active on X. So am I. I do a lot of different retweets. So come aboard for us here. We do a lot of different sports, and we try to keep you guys as updated as possible. Our YouTube, Mitch, tell us what that is, buddy.
Yeah, you'll find us at the 643 and out pod on YouTube streaming live. You could also find the full thing and our faces up there right after for you to stop and pause and play whenever you'd like. So you'll find us at the 643 and out pod.
All right, that is correct. We are also on Facebook. 643 and out on Facebook as well. I'm looking forward to get the exact thing. Excuse me. And then, of course, the big announcement from today is we are now going to be on Apple. It was big, it was fruity, and it was the big announcement of the day. Of course, we will be back next week, same time, same place. We're going to talk about the Browns. We're going to do a little bit more MLB than we probably did this week, just because the college football will be down to 1 game, and the NFL will be down from 6 games to, I believe, 4 games next week. So we'll be able to squeeze in a little bit more MLB. We're going, we are only like 6 weeks away from spring training.
Yeah, it's coming up.
No,
Pitchers and catchers will be reporting before we know it.
I know it, buddy. I feel like a kid in the candy store. All right. All of you, thank you very much. Mitch, certainly appreciate you being with us. Thank you for coming back. I know we took some time off for the holidays. We got to spend some time with our families and everything else. And you know what's going to happen now? Something that hasn't happened in weeks. We're going to go back to the old song where we All right. Hey, tell us, do you like the video thing behind us now? That stadium lights going? Mitch has always had a really good camera. I upgraded it. All good. Thank you all very much. A couple more things.
It's tough to hear you with the music. Yeah, it's drowning you out. I don't know if you can hear me, but that music is drowning you out right now.
So, as we always say, we got to figure out how to do this stuff a little bit better next time. But, hang on. As we always say.
There we go.
There we go. The only thing that's fair in life is a baseball hit between the third and first base line. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all very much. Music back on. And we are 643 and out. Nice to you, Fran. Appreciate you, buddy. See you soon.